When it comes to buying fractional silver, the best option you have, assuming you live in the United States, is going to be constitutional 90% silver coins, or in other words, junk silver. Today, I'm going to talk about the next best thing. Let's get right into it. Hello, guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today, I'm going to be talking about the next best thing when it comes to stacking fractional silver Canadian 80% silver coins. If you enjoy my videos or want to learn more about investing in precious metals and maybe some other forms of investment later on, consider subscribing. It helps my channel grow and reach more people, and you get some nice videos to watch. It's a win for both of us. I'm going to be talking about the pros and cons to buying Canadian junk silver, and then give my overall opinion on stacking it or buying it at all. Before I talk about the pros and cons, this applies mostly to those living in the United States or other countries other than Canada, but I'll be focusing on those in the United States. When you buy junk silver, the main reason you buy it is either to collect old coins or because it's the cheapest option for fractional silver. Sure, there are other reasons you might buy it, but these are the two most common reasons for one to buy fractional silver. And as you know, fractional silver always has a higher premium than buying larger amounts of silver. The more you buy, the cheaper the premium. When it comes to Canadian junk silver, the first pro to buying it is that the premiums are way cheaper. At the time of recording, silver spot is 1933, and buying Canadian junk silver, on average, you pay less than 10% in premiums compared to other US coins. With APMEX prices today, for silver Roosevelt dimes, you pay a 30% premium, and for Canadian dimes, you only pay a 21% premium. For Washington quarters, you pay a 30% premium, and for Canadian quarters, there's only a 13% premium. That's a 17% less premium than US quarters. The half dollars seem to have a pretty equal premium, being 34% for the Kennedy half dollars and a 30% premium for the Canadian half dollars. Now, the big hitter is the Canadian silver dollars. Our silver dollars are upwards of a 50% premium, and Canadian silver dollars are only a 20% premium. For every piece dollar you buy, you can buy 2 Canadian dollars. As you can see, buying Canadian silver actually might be a good idea, especially if your budget isn't that large. A roll of Canadian silver quarters is just about $65 cheaper than a roll of 90% Washington quarters. The next pro I found when buying Canadian silver is, for the most part, the coins are in pretty good shape, meaning they are a lot closer to the actual amount of silver in each coin. When a coin is worn down, they often have less silver, and since a majority of the Canadian silver I bought was in good shape, I'd say it's safe to say that they're usually going to have close to their full weight in silver. These pros are pretty easy to discover by yourself, but the last pro is something I actually didn't find until I made my Canadian silver calculator. Fractional silver coins that aren't pure have a specific weight of silver in each coin. For example, the US silver dimes have roughly 0.0723 troy ounces of silver per dime. A Canadian dime has 0.06 troy ounces. A US silver quarter has 0.1808 troy ounces, while a Canadian silver quarter has 0.15. US silver half dollars have 0.36169 troy ounces, and a Canadian half dollar has zero point 0.3 troy ounces. Are you noticing what I noticed? While US silver coins are 90% silver, they have very uneven amounts of silver, while Canadian silver coins are very round numbers that are easy to add. One roll of 90% silver Roosevelt dimes has 3.615 troy ounces of silver, while one roll of 80% Canadian dimes has exactly 3 ounces of silver. One roll of Canadian silver quarters has exactly 6 ounces. One roll of Canadian silver half dollars also has exactly 6 ounces of silver, and one 20 coin roll of 80% silver Canadian dollars has exactly 12 ounces of silver. These numbers are very easy to price and use in case we had to barter with silver someday. I could totally imagine things being priced using these numbers, since it's way easier to give change and make purchases more round. If I paid one silver Canadian dollar for an item that was priced at 0.45 troy ounces, I would get one Canadian quarter back as change. If I bought something that was worth zero point 0.3 troy ounces of silver, I could pay 5 Canadian dimes, or 2 Canadian quarters, or 1 Canadian half dollar, or I could pay one whole Canadian silver dollar and get a half dollar back as change. These numbers are very easy to work with, which makes them seem almost a complete upgrade to US silver coins. The only problem is that they aren't as pure. 80% silver still isn't as good as 90% silver, but it's pretty pure regardless. But this is where we discover our first con for Canadian silver. Canadian silver is complicated. From 1859 to 1919, Canadian silver coins were actually 92.5% silver. From 1920 to 1966, all coins were 80% silver. And from 1967 to 1968, they were only 50% silver. And some coins from 1967 were actually 80% silver, since the chain wasn't fully into effect until later that year. Since the coins have three different levels of purity, you have to be careful when you buy it. You don't want to accidentally buy Canadian coins that were only 50% silver thinking they were 80%. As for 92.5% silver, I did get a few of my rolls from Atmex, but they were quite worn, so they weighed the same as the 80% silver coins. As long as you make sure to buy coins from 1966 or before, you should be safe. The biggest con for Canadian silver is going to be selling it. When it comes to someone outside of Canada, it might be harder to sell these coins. I talked to one of my local coin shops and they did actually buy and sell Canadian silver, but only paid the melt price. Now, if you're in Canada, I'm not sure if they buy for a premium or not. I only talked to one LCS, so maybe some exist that would buy for a slight premium, but it's going to be pretty much as close to melt as it gets. This doesn't mean that they're not good to buy, it just means that silver would have to go up a bit more before you could sell it at a profit. Silver would have to rise above the premiums you paid first for you to make profits when selling it at melt. Maybe someday Canadian silver will start to grow a premium in the US, but that might take many, many years from now. My conclusion is that Canadian silver would definitely be good to barter with if you had to. Since they have very easy numbers to work with, it makes them a lot nicer than US silver coins. And I do think that they're still worth buying, but just be aware that they might be harder to sell. As for collecting the coins, they do look pretty nice, and you can find some of the Centennial coins as well as a few other kings and queens on the coins. All in all, I think Canadian silver is still good to buy, and you should weigh the pros and cons before buying any yourself. I personally will probably still buy a little bit more, but hold off for the most part. At the moment, I'm going to be stacking gold and pure silver bullion. If you do happen to see melt price deals for Canadian silver coins, it might actually be worth picking them up because if you sell them for melt and that's the cheapest you could sell them for, then you're going to be at a profit regardless if silver goes up. Anyways, guys, thank you all for watching my video. If you enjoyed or at least learned something new, consider leaving a like and subscribing. It means a lot and helps this community grow. I will see you all in the next video. Peace.